What is up, guys? We're going to be looking at suspension today, and we're just going to go through each option and figure out what it does, how to use it properly, and hopefully you guys can set up your suspension and start going quicker. Okay, let's have a look. So, it starts with preload, and this is to do with understeer and oversteer. On this game anyway it is. So basically if a bike is understeering, it is necessary to lower the front height. So basically if it's understeering, it means it's not turning enough. So if you find you can't hit a corner, like when you're turning left and it's just not turning properly, it just doesn't seem to be turning enough, you might want to like knock this up a few notches. Whereas if you find you're turning way too much and you want to kind of have a bit more of a smoother turn and like just turn into the corner normally rather than like turn too sharp, then you might want to push it up a bit. So we'll keep that neutral for a minute. That's front and rear. The same applies to both. And I would recommend probably moving each one the same. So if you move this one, move this one the same. Or if you have to go up 2 and down 2, do it like that. That way you get quite a kind of consistent setting. So that's preload. Spring stiffness. Now this says stiffer dampening makes the bike more precise but unstable. Soft dampening makes it more stable but less precise. So if you're finding that you're just turning and you're not falling off at all and it's just a bit kind of wishy-washy the turn, then I would probably increase these just to make it a bit more, like it says, precise. Obviously you do run the risk of then falling off, but to be honest, I would probably recommend pushing these up just because it's pretty stable anyway, the bike, and it does take quite a lot to be able to actually slide out in this game. So pushing these up is just going to make you faster in my opinion, so I'm going to keep those up there. Actually I think I'm going to push, I don't want them too stiff. I think just one up is fine. Compression dampening. Increasing the dampening means making the bike more responsive but less stable. Less dampening makes it less responsive but more stable bike. So it's that trade-off again. If you want a stable bike, then you're going to make it down. If you want it less stable but more precise, then you're going to go up. So pretty simple there. I personally would have it more up than down because, like I say, I find the bike is pretty stable anyway, and just having that like a little bit more precision is only going to help. So I'm going to push that one up again. I might push that up 2 notches. Rebound, same kind of thing really. Compression and rebound, so we're just going to push those up again. So we've stiffened the springs. The preload, I want to make my bike turn a little bit easier. Sometimes I find I just end up not being able to turn into the corner properly and just going way out of the track. So if you read it, if a bike understeers, it is necessary to lower the front height. So understeer is what we're getting. So we want to lower the front height. I might take that down too. If a bike oversteers, it is necessary to lower the rear height. So we're not oversteering, so we want to make that rear maybe up 1. Well, up 2, just to keep to the rule. So that's going to mean that we're going to be able to hopefully turn a little bit more sharper. With the preload, the stiffness is going to make it a bit more precise. It's pretty stable, as I said anyway. And this is same kind of thing, but responsive. So this is just going to be like how the suspension, how kind of like how quickly it rebounds and like how responsive it is to that, whether it's kind of like wallowy suspension. So I'm going to keep that how it is. It's up a bit. I might want to move it down, but first of all we can test that out in the compound, which is really good actually. Let's just hit on transmission as well whilst we're here. Transmission really easy, short, medium, long. Short, if you're on like a small kind of tight track, you want to be running that because this short gear is more kind of like torquey. You're going to be able to get like the acceleration, whereas a medium and long range gears, you're not going to be able to get acceleration like you are with a short, but you will be able to have that kind of top end power. So with us, just going to go medium. To be fair, you probably don't need to move it from medium too much unless you're like maybe Glen Helen's quite a big track, so you might want to move it up to long on Glen Helen, but for the compound, medium's fine. Okay, so let's see how this goes. Straight off the bat, actually, I can feel a difference just the way it's turning. I can definitely feel it's a bit more stiffer the way, because we definitely stiffened up the shocks, so it feels a bit more planted, which is nice. So I think definitely straight off the bat, I'm liking the new setup. Just from a few little tweaks like that, you can definitely feel a difference. Literally in just a few little tweaks, you start to notice that it's a bit more stiffer in the turns. It's not wallowing out. The suspension's not as sort of like plush. So that is quite interesting. I'm quite impressed actually with MXGP3 there, just implementing that. So yeah. I think I'll just run the rest of this lap and then we'll wrap it up. But so far so good. This feels really nice. Okay, so once you've kind of figured out your suspension settings, you're happy with the suspension preload. I'm pretty happy with mine. This is what mine is. Feel free to copy it and just feel how it is for you. I mean, really it is very a subtle difference. I mean, even if I whacked these all down to the bottom and just didn't even care about the suspension, I'm still going to be able to run a fairly quick lap time, but I think the suspension is just sort of like fine-tuning to your preference. So yeah, take it as it is. That's mine. And yeah, and just try different things. I mean, when I first started looking at the suspension, I would put everything down to the bottom and see how that felt, and then put it all the way to the top again and see how that felt, just so I could determine what I liked and what I didn't like. These changes here I've done are pretty subtle to the kind of just stock center. But you know, this definitely helps me turn a bit easier, and it isn't as like squidgy when I land. So yeah, it's nice. Anyway, once you've kind of got what you want, go back here, and to save it, you want to go Data, New Slot, and just call it whatever you want. So I'm just going to call this Setup 1. So Setup 1, confirm, and that's it. You've successfully created a suspension setup. It's pretty easy, and it's quite nice actually that you can have different profiles for, say, different tracks or different. Maybe you could have weather conditions. I think that might be useful. I mean, the more I play, the more I'll know and understand how it works. But yeah, you could definitely have a wet weather like setup and then a dry weather setup, or sand, and just like they have in real life really. So that's really cool. But that basically wraps it up. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys in the next video.